By the time help arrived, 67-year-old Edward Slick Gibbons' wallet, shoes, and broken glasses were scattered across his garage floor. He was crawling through his own blood, trying to get help. As the three criminals who hid inside his garage and ambushed him jumped inside his truck and took off. Clarendon County Sheriff's investigators collected more than a dozen pieces of evidence, documented bloody shoe prints, clipped blood-soaked clothes, swabbed for DNA, and dusted for fingerprints. And a short time later, someone found Slick's stolen El Camino abandoned a few miles from his home. A man working for the Gibbons took the car to Slick's parts store, where investigators later taped it off and dusted it for fingerprints. Slick Gibbons, beaten and bloody, survived the attack. Investigators showed up to the hospital to take this black piece of duct tape off his head and logged it into evidence. Slick Gibbons was a motorsports legend in South Carolina. Winning more than 250 dirt races will do that, and it earned him a spot in the Clarendon County Athletic Hall of Fame. He was also a businessman. Some thought he walked around with enough cash to make this all worth it. Slick told investigators three masked men were hiding in his garage and jumped him. One sat on his chest and beat him in the face. Another held his legs. The three kicked and stomped him, and they cleaned out his pockets. Clarendon County Sheriff's investigators went to work to figure out who did this, days after the attack. Sheriff's investigator Kenneth Clark claimed he got a tip from a confidential informant reporting three people spending a lot of money right after the robbery. Those three men became the prime suspects in the Gibbons ambush. One of those men, Michael Wilson Pearson. Clarendon County investigators took Pearson's fingerprints along with the two other men the CI claimed were on a spending spree. The county got nearby Sumter Police Department to run the prints through the nationwide automated fingerprint identification system known as AFIS to see whether any of the three men matched any of the prints from the crime scene. The computer database returned negative results, meaning none of the men's prints matched anything in the database. That's until Sumter Police's AFIS expert, Marie Hodge, visually compared the men's prints to the crime scene prints. She determined a single thumbprint on the back of the El Camino belonged to Michael Pearson, but she could not determine when, where, or how the print got onto Slick's car. A few hours later, sheriff's investigators arrested Michael Pearson, charging him with the robbery, kidnapping, and beating of Slick Gibbons. The sheriff's office had no other suspects. 2 months later, the SLED lab processed a DNA swab from the duct tape wrapped around Gibbons' head. The DNA matched a man named Victor Weldon. Investigators charged him and accused him and Pearson of being co-conspirators. The county grand jury indicted Pearson and Weldon on charges of felony burglary, armed robbery, kidnapping, grand larceny, and possession of a weapon during a violent crime.
This is the state of South Carolina versus Michael Wilson Pearson.
Both men stood trial in Clarendon County in May of 2012. Third Circuit Solicitor Chip Finney tried Pearson and Weldon together. It took the Clarendon County jury just 20 minutes to find them both guilty on all counts. The judge sentenced Michael Pearson and Victor Weldon to 60 years in prison, essentially a death sentence. Pearson would have been 97 and Weldon 83 years old before they'd ever see daylight again. Both men asked the state's appeals court to overturn their convictions. In 2014, the Court of Appeals overturned Pearson's conviction, finding the fingerprint evidence merely raised a suspicion of Pearson's guilt, and that caused the jury to speculate about his involvement in the ambush. The court also found investigators had no other evidence placing Pearson at the crime scene, or proof he even knew his co-defendant, Victor Weldon, at the time. The appeals court ordered a new trial for Michael Pearson.
Serving as your Attorney General has been a great honor.
But Attorney General Alan Wilson stepped in and asked the state Supreme Court to undo the appeals court decision giving Pearson a new trial. The AG wanted to keep him imprisoned. The AG argued the appeals court misunderstood case law it applied in Pearson's case, and the prosecution against Michael Pearson did not present a complete failure of evidence of his guilt. Instead, the case proved circumstantial evidence of guilt, that Michael Pearson was there and participated. The Supreme Court sided with the AG's office, canceled his new trial, and reinstated Pearson's conviction and that 60-year prison sentence. Victor Weldon also appealed his convictions. Despite the DNA evidence against him, he argued his own attorney failed to call alibi witnesses. Weldon argued those witnesses, his own mother and sister, would have told the jury he was at home when Slick Gibbons was ambushed, robbed, and attacked. In 2021, the appeals court overturned his convictions and ordered a new trial. The Attorney General asked the state Supreme Court to review the appeals court decision, but the High Court denied the AG's request, and Solicitor Chip Finney and Victor Weldon prepared to face off again before a Clarendon County jury.
Hey, Victor. How you doing?
All right.
You sit right here.
In March 2023, instead of putting Victor Weldon on trial a second time, Solicitor Chip Finney decided to offer him a plea deal.
Vic, I'm Mark Creech.
All right.
Doing okay?
Mm-hmm.
All right. I work as an investigator with the solicitor's office. I retired from SLED, had over 30 years in the system, and came here a couple of years ago part-time. You know Kenny Clark, he's captain of investigations.
The deal? If Weldon told everything he knew about what happened to Slick Gibbons 13 years earlier and everyone who took part in it, Finney would cut 45 years off his sentence and set him free.
And you know why we're here.
Yeah.
Okay. Your lawyer's here with you. He's explained everything to you. So we're just going to let you talk.
All right. See where I start off at.
I'm not trying to tell you what to say, but start off when you first, whoever talked to you or whatever, or how you became aware, whatever.
Victor, just to make you feel, I'll just say this for the camera.
Yes.
We've signed this plea agreement. I've gone over it with Victor. He understands that we agreed on a plea, and he agreed to this statement. If the plea fell apart, it couldn't be used against him.
Correct.
And so you want to give your full account of what happened. So that's the context we're here.
Right.
Victor Weldon was about to deliver a confession and provide evidence that the Clarendon County Sheriff's Office and Solicitor Chip Finney convicted an innocent man.
Did you know for 2 years?
Thank you for the question. I'm not going to answer any
When
questions
did you know of
at this time.
Pearson's
Thank
innocence?
you so much. Appreciate it.
Why won't you answer that question?
What do you think the state of South Carolina should do with Solicitor Chip Finney?
I think he should be disbarred. I think he should not be allowed to practice law in the state of South Carolina or anywhere else.
Hey, Victor. How you doing?
All right.
You sit right here. Got water for you if you need it.
It took 3 interviews for the solicitor's office to get the full confession out of Victor Weldon, his version of the truth about what really happened at Slick Gibbons' home in May of 2010.
Dude named Leonard Smith. He came.
Who?
Leonard.
Lennar?
Leonard.
Spell that for me.
Lenard. I don't know. I think that's how you spell it.
Leonard Smith?
Yeah.
So you got a nickname or anything?
Not I know of.
The name seemed to come as a surprise to solicitor investigator Mark Creech. Just 2.5 minutes into the interview, Victor Weldon dropped a name investigators never had on their suspect bingo card.
When did he come to your house?
In the morning.
The morning does his crime?
Mm-hmm.
So you had no idea about nothing until this boy knocked on your window?
No, they came to my house. It was Leonard. He came knocking at my house.
Weldon went on, claiming a man called Peanut drove him, Leonard Smith, and a man named Kevin Millette to Slick's home.
Then he knocked on the back door. He cracked it in the opening and screamed my name, so I got up. He said he wanted to hit a lick because his brother was in jail.
3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. His brother's in jail. He wants to hit a lick, which means he wants to go rob somebody. Is that what hit a lick means? You go outside with him and sit in his car. And who else is in there?
Kevin Millette. It's somebody else, but I don't know. I don't know him.
He told investigators Peanut dropped the 3 off at Slick's home. They slipped into his open garage and hid in a storage room.
Probably was just sitting there about 5 minutes, and he came out.
Come out Slick.
Yeah.
Come out that back door.
When we ran out, I was like second one behind somebody. I don't know who I was behind, but we ran out. That might have been Kevin first, but what was they threw him on the ground, sat on his legs, and checked his pocket, told him stop moving, stop screaming.
Okay. Where were you at during this time?
I was with him right there.
Were you sitting on him too?
No.
What were you doing?
I went in his pockets.
You were going through his pockets. Then what happened?
I think they tried to put tape on. Leonard tried to put tape on.
Where'd the tape come from?
I don't know.
By the time they finished with Slick, the 67-year-old was covered in blood, his glasses smashed, and he couldn't walk. Slick told investigators the three ran out of his garage. He crawled up to look out of a window to see what they drove off in, and one of them jumped out of the back of the truck to finish him off. The final strike knocked him out, and the attack was over.
And they were like, yo, where's the rest of it? They took the shoes off looking for it, and that was less than 2 minutes, and we left in his other room.
After more than 13 years of lying and proclaiming his innocence, Victor Weldon wanted his freedom. If he snitched, Third Circuit Solicitor Chip Finney's plea deal would erase the final 47 years of Weldon's prison sentence.
Hey, man.
How you doing? All right.
You doing all right?
In March 2023, investigators called Victor Weldon in for a lineup.
You gave us 3 names and we got 3 photo lineup we want to present to you. When you pick out the person, if the person is there that you know, I need for you to circle it, I need for you to initial it, and date it, okay?
The case file shows Weldon circled Leonard Smith's picture.
So you're sure this is Lennar?
Yeah.
In April 2023, just 1 month later,
Is that right?
investigators brought him back in for another lineup.
See if you recognize anybody.
Yeah.
Who?
Number 2.
Who is he?
Not like Kevin Millett.
That's Kevin Millett? And is this the same Kevin Millett that you say went with y'all and committed the crime at Slick Gibbons' house? You need to circle and date it and initial it, please.
3 months later, Solicitor Chip Finney and Victor Weldon were in a courtroom. Weldon pleaded guilty, erasing his 60-year prison sentence. Victor Weldon is set to be freed on Halloween 2025. Of all the people Weldon named in his confession, one person was unnamed, Michael Wilson Pearson.
And Pearson ain't had nothing to do with this.
I don't know him.
I'm talking about your co-defendant that was
I
tried
know-
with you.
I know you're talking about. I don't know Kevin.
He never had nothing to do with this.
I don't know him.
He wasn't with y'all.
No.
Why didn't you tell him that to begin with?
Well, I did. I said I don't know Pearson.
No, there's a difference in I don't know Pearson and Pearson was not there. So was Pearson there?
No.
Pearson ain't had nothing to do with this. He's an innocent man sitting in jail right now, is what you're telling me.
Yeah.
Why didn't you tell your lawyer back then that Mark Pearson didn't have nothing to do with it?
He didn't ask. He asked me, do I know him? I said no.
Come on now. You didn't ask.
He did.
Out of the goodness of your heart, you did not tell him they got the wrong man.
No.
Because that would have implicated you. Because
Yeah.
only you would have known, the only way you'd have known he wasn't there is because you were there.
I know. I didn't want to go to prison.
And you're telling me now he didn't do this.
I don't know how his thumbprint, fingerprint got in the car. I don't know what that's about.
Did you and him ever have a conversation about this case?
After we got the R&E, yeah. After we
Okay,
got
tell me about that conversation.
he trying to figure out what the hell was going on.
He was?
Mm-hmm.
What was he saying?
Like, man, he gonna try to get to the bottom of this, and that's about it.
He ever tell you he didn't do it?
Yeah.
Did you ever tell him you did do it?
No.
So you had the ability to set him free 12 or 13 years ago by telling the truth, and you've let this man sit in jail for the whole time, knowing he didn't do this.
Yeah.
Why?
I didn't want to go to prison.
How would you feel if the shoe was on the other foot?
I feel bad too.
In July 2023, 3 months after Victor Weldon's confession,
I'll see you at the mic.
Michael Pearson was in an interview room in the Clarendon County Solicitor's office.
If you don't want to talk to me, you don't want to say anything, that is perfectly fine.
Last time I said something, it got me 60 years. And I'm telling him I ain't had nothing to do with it.
Okay, just let me explain it. You don't have to talk to me today if you don't want to, okay? This is the story he tells us. There was several people involved. Other people went into the garage, but you didn't go in the garage.
I wasn't there, period.
Okay. My question to him is, why didn't you tell this to begin with?
He did.
No, he didn't.
He told me, he told you that.
He did not.
He did not, Mike.
I even asked him, did you even tell Michael?
I don't know the kid.
So that's where we're at. Now, is he telling the truth? That's what we got to determine.
Yes.
We also got to determine these other individuals that he says went in the garage with him. We got to locate them, we got to charge them, we got to talk to them, we got to get DNA, we got to do all this other stuff. Well, Sheriff's Office does, and try to make a case on them.
Michael Pearson spent the past 15 years of his life in the county jail and 4 different prisons over this. But despite Victor Weldon's confession, it would take another 2.5 years before he'd get his first shot at freedom. Coming up.
I think he should be disbarred. I think he should not be allowed to practice law.
Did you know for
Thank
2
you
years?
for the question. I'm not going to answer any
When
questions
did you know of
at this
Mr.
time.
Pearson's
Thank
innocence?
you so much.
What did you really lose sitting in the penitentiary?
I lost my life, man.
In the more than 2 years that passed following the 2023 confession and Victor Weldon's guilty plea, case records we obtained show no action by the solicitor's office to set Michael Pearson free.
Pearson ain't had nothing to do with this. He's an innocent man sitting in jail right now, is what you're telling me.
Yeah.
Third Circuit Solicitor Chip Finney had to know of Michael Pearson's innocence at least as early as March 2023. His own investigator heard Victor Weldon not only confess to his role in the Slick Gibbons ambush, but he listed names of the 3 others involved. How you doing, Mr. Pearson?
All right, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
All right.
And the solicitor also knew Michael Pearson wasn't even there.
The man telling you the truth. I ain't had nothing to do with it. I done did 15 years of my life. 13 years of my life. And with that, I didn't know nothing about that. I'm glad he stepped up and tell y'all the truth that I didn't do it, because I don't know his family. I don't know him.
Pearson found out about Weldon's confession in this July 2023 interview with a solicitor's office investigator. He's maintained his innocence from the start. We pulled his case file from the courthouse and found a handwritten letter Pearson wrote the clerk in 2013, a year after his trial and conviction. I ask that you please help an innocent man. I really had nothing to do with this bad situation, and my life is on hold, and the real criminals are still walking the street. And Pearson was right, and both law enforcement and the solicitor knew that in early 2023. Even the polygraphs Pearson and Weldon took supported the stories the men told. Both passed their lie detector tests with no deception indicated. In June 2024, Pearson, without an attorney, filed a second application for post-conviction relief, a move that could allow him a chance at a new trial or undo his convictions. Pearson continued sitting in prison, then saw an ad from the North Carolina Center on Actual Innocence pop up on his prison-issued tablet and asked Director Chris Muma for help. What did you think when you read that application?
Well, you know, it has the standard red flags that we run into, right? There was no defense put on a trial, so that's always concerning.
The center went to work. In June 2025, the center got Victor Weldon to sign an affidavit, again confessing his own guilt and reaffirming Michael Pearson's innocence. What's not in the public record? Evidence the solicitor made any formal move to free Michael Pearson. Not until the North Carolina Center on Actual Innocence stepped in.
Law enforcement knew there was a problem in this case. They already knew. And the solicitor wrote us and said, we're doing an investigation that there might be a possibility I could offer your client a reduced sentence. We said, well, we've got evidence of innocence. There's not going to be a reduced sentence if there's evidence of innocence. 60 days went by and we never heard from him again. And we were mystified on how they could have that much evidence of innocence, grant the man the plea, give him the plea deal that gets him out 40 years earlier, and yet not do anything for Michael. It was an egregious delay in justice.
Muma says one man with all the power to free Michael Pearson was at the center of the delay in doing so. That man is elected solicitor Chip Finney.
It never occurred to them he was going to say, listen, you convicted an innocent man. That backfired on them. When it backfired, they went through the steps of trying to prove he was wrong, and they kept getting more and more evidence of innocence. The pushback was, we don't even know whether these facts are true. You're alleging these things. You're alleging that Victor Weldon says these things. But those facts came from law enforcement. They were questioning the sheriff department's own investigation. not mine. And, they found his statement to be truthful and gave him that benefit. So it just really mind-boggling to watch how this case unraveled, and they did nothing.
As the Center on Actual Innocence continued building its case to free Pearson, instead of helping formalize Pearson's innocence, Finney offered a deal. I requested that his client consider and agree not to return to Clarendon County upon his release, and that he would also agree to waive any civil damages claims against the victims or law enforcement. Attorneys immediately reported Finney and his offer to the Attorney General's office. Instead of going forward with a July hearing to free Pearson, the solicitor called the Sheriff's Office lead investigator, Captain Kenneth Clark.
Hey, Kenny Clark, this is Chip Finney. I think that hearing is going to be canceled. The lawyer and I are having difficulties with each other because I asked for those 2 requests about not suing us and not moving back to Clarendon, and he thinks that's illegal on my part. So I think we're going to cancel that hearing and let them fight it out in court at some other time.
Although he pitches it as a request to the Attorney General, we now know that he canceled the hearing where the conviction was going to be vacated after Michael said, no, I'm not taking conditions to get what I deserve in the justice system.
In August, the solicitor filed his request for a new trial for Michael Pearson. The following week.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Clarendon County. We are here on case number 2011 GS 14-068. This is the state of South Carolina versus Michael Wilson Pearson.
Pearson left prison for this hearing where Solicitor Chip Finney, for the first time since the Victor Weldon confession 2.5 years earlier, asked the judge to give Pearson a new trial. Why would it take 2.5 years to do what has finally happened now?
I don't think they ever would have done anything had we not gotten involved. Until we started doing our own investigation and pushing and saying, wait a minute, what about all this evidence? They had to react, and I don't think they would have otherwise.
Part of our investigation was pinpointing exactly when the solicitor knew there was evidence of Pearson's innocence and what he did when he found out. There was no better time to ask than minutes after that August 28th hearing ended.
In March of 2023, I'm not going to talk about the case because I've still got an investigation going on.
Okay.
And I don't want to talk about it until I have everything sealed tight and ready to go to court.
Well,
and I'll be ready to talk.
Well, just with respect to when you knew, when did you know?
I don't have any dates in my head like that. I'm not going to answer these off the record questions. If I had my file in front of me, I could maybe answer a question technically.
Well, we know what was just said in the hearing. I mean, this was just minutes ago.
Okay, well, if you heard something, then you can report that, but I didn't say it.
But for 2 years, is
I
it
didn't
fair to
say
say?
it, did I?
Did you know for
Thank
2
you
years?
for the question. I'm not going to answer any
When
questions
did you know of
at this
Mr.
time.
Pearson's
Thank
innocence?
you so much. Appreciate it.
Why won't you answer that question? Finney also never proclaimed Michael Pearson's innocence during that hearing. We have to assume that investigator communicated that back to the solicitor.
There's no doubt that at a minimum they knew in March of 2023 that there was credible evidence of Michael Pearson's innocence. If you couldn't remember the timeline, then he's got some intellectual disabilities that need to be addressed, because that was made very clear dozens of times.
See if you recognize anybody.
Remember that third Victor Weldon interview in April 2023? The one where he again confessed and picked out his co-conspirators' faces in lineups. Right there, sitting in the back corner of the room, was Solicitor Chip Finney. Can you identify the man in that photograph in the white shirt?
That's the solicitor.
So that is April the 20th of 2023, where he is in an interview room with Victor Weldon, while Weldon is telling these guys again that he was there, he was part of it, Pearson was not.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, he definitely knew.
Muma says the Attorney General's office had plenty of chances to catch this years ago. Instead of figuring out the truth behind Michael Pearson's convictions, Attorney General Alan Wilson and his office fought Pearson every step of the way through his appeals and every post-conviction relief application. So you think the Attorney General of the state of South Carolina could have caught this a decade ago?
I think so, yes. The red flags were there. It's not just bad luck for Michael, it's injustice over and over again, where the justice system was fighting against his innocence.
Well, who all these people is out here?
The judge set Pearson free on bond and ordered a new trial in that August hearing.
North Carolina Center on Actual Innocence was my last resort. They saw something in me. They felt something about the case, and they started digging themselves. Something the investigators never did. 15 years later, they're saying that they have the right people. That doesn't replace the 15 years they took from me.
But what did you really lose sitting in the penitentiary?
I lost my life, man. I could have been a productive citizen. I'm trying to be right now, but I could have had already established some things for my life. I could have had my own home. I could have had my own vehicles. God knows I could have had my own business started. Who knows? I had years to think about it. Years to think about it. And it was strong the first year. I was wondering what I could do to turn this thing around. What needs to be done to get myself proven innocent.
How do you prove yourself innocent?
You don't. You got to get someone else to prove you're innocent.
In Michael Pearson's case,
Put your initial
beside it.
that someone was Victor Weldon.
I thank him for what he did, but I'm also angry for what he did. He withheld information that would have saved me from going to prison for 15 years.
Pearson also still doesn't believe that was his fingerprint on the back of Slick Gibbons' truck. And if it was, he says there was a plausible explanation. He lived literally around the corner, yards away from Slick's auto parts store.
The man live a block of, it's a Chinese food connected to the man's store. I eat them. I walk from my house through the cut to go get Chinese food. I ain't paying no attention to his El Camino. I don't pay attention to none of that.
So you could have inadvertently touched it.
I could have.
Investigators have never publicly disclosed identifying the people who left those other 4 prints at the crime scene.
They were saying Michael Pearson's thumbprint was found on this car.
He did it.
Yeah, he did this. I don't understand why that machine didn't clear me. I don't know why they make technology and don't want to use their knowledge.
Sumter Police Department's APHIS computer couldn't match Pearson's fingerprint in the nationwide database, but the department's analyst, Marie Hodge, testified she visually inspected the print taken from the El Camino and found 14 points that matched Pearson's right thumbprint.
Which was more accurate, the eye or the machine? If the machine was good enough to put someone in the penitentiary, why is it not good enough to let someone go?
Or keep them out of the...
keep them out of the jailhouse.
They knew 2+ years ago you didn't do this.
Right.
They even had the polygraph that showed you were telling the truth.
Right.
That Victor Weldon was telling the truth. Why did you serve another 2+ years?
That's a good question.
And Pearson doesn't think he'll ever forgive the solicitor or the system.
Chip Finney wasn't trying to help me get out of the penitentiary. The solicitor is supposed to help an innocent man, but he didn't try releasing me. He was trying to sweep me under the rug. When we was at court, he still didn't want to confess my innocence. With all the evidence mounted up against him, not against me, that he did wrong. I didn't do anything wrong. I spent 15 years of my life in the penitentiary, and I was wrong. And he will not confess to my innocence. He will not say that Michael Pearson did not do this.
On September 8th, 2025, the solicitor formally ended the prosecution of Michael Pearson. Without any public notice, Finney dismissed every charge, citing new evidence discovered. Nowhere does the solicitor mention that Michael Pearson was actually innocent.
With the attitude he has with the job, he doesn't like mistakes. And if he make a mistake, he like to cover it up.
You think he tried to cover this up?
Yes, he did.
Are you finding a system where people can't admit mistakes, and then when mistakes are found, they do everything in their power to not fix it?
In every case, and I can tell you that in the 25 years I've been doing this, it's gotten worse.
Does any of this meet the threshold of prosecutorial misconduct?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, when you're talking about a violation of the written rules of professional responsibility in South Carolina, a clear violation, that is absolutely prosecutorial misconduct. Chip Finney took that last effort to save himself, not Michael Pearson.
If not for your center, where would Michael Pearson be today?
He would be in prison today.
What do you think the state of South Carolina should do with Solicitor Chip Finney?
I think he should be disbarred at a minimum. I think he should not be allowed to practice law in the state of South Carolina or anywhere else.
If you could sit down with Chip Finney today, what would you say to him?
I would want to know, how does he feel right now about the situation? I really want to know, do he have any remorse?
What do you think he feels?
I don't think he has any remorse.
What do you want people to remember about Michael Pearson?
that he was a fighter. He never quit. I'm a good person. I'm not the person that you thought I was.
Solicitor Chip Finney told me he expects to file new charges in the Slick Gibbons ambush. However, the solicitor has not yet charged any of the people Victor Weldon named in his confession, Kevin Millett, Leonard Smith, or whoever the man called Peanut is. Millett is already in prison on a gun and drug conviction, and Leonard Smith never responded to my attempts to reach him. I have confirmed through multiple sources a high-ranking court official filed a complaint against Solicitor Chip Finney with the South Carolina Supreme Court's Office of Disciplinary Counsel, the unit charged with investigating lawyers and judges. The Supreme Court would not confirm whether a complaint was filed or if the court opened an investigation. That's something state law keeps secret unless and until an allegation is sustained and the court hands down punishment. If nothing ever comes of the court's investigation, the complaint and investigation will remain secret forever. Our investigation is not over.
They had me scheduled to get out of prison 2043.
We uncovered another case where someone did not get a fair shot in the system, and the Attorney General's office fought to keep them imprisoned. Do you guys mind if I ask him a question real quick? We go deep into South Carolina to track the Attorney General down to ask questions he didn't want us asking. Our search to find South Carolina Attorney General Alan Wilson took weeks. All right, that is Wilson's black Tahoe. We eventually tracked him down at a campaign stop deep in Florence County, 3 hours from Charlotte, in the small town of Coward, South Carolina. A few minutes later, the AG and his driver pulled up to the Coward Community Center. I tried to question him on his way in. How you doing, Mr. Wilson?
Hey, Jody.
Hey,
Good to see you.
can you tell us why you and your office fought against Mr. Pearson's Innocence in State versus Michael Pearson? But the AG didn't slow down as he scurried into the PD Republican women's event to deliver a speech and take questions.
Now I want the opportunity to be the leader of our executive branch of government as your governor.
He spoke to a group of 20 people he wanted something from, their votes to make him governor. Wilson later took questions from the audience. Do you guys mind if I ask him a question real quick?
Yeah, I know what question he's going to ask.
And the crowd gave us permission to ask Wilson about Michael Pearson's case. Why, even when the appeals court reversed Pearson's conviction, finding the fingerprint evidence tying him to the Slick Gibbons ambush was insufficient evidence to submit to the jury and merely raised a suspicion of Pearson's guilt, the AG's office fought to uphold the conviction and asked the Supreme Court to deny Pearson a new trial and reinstate his 60-year prison sentence. The court agreed, and Pearson continued serving his sentence.
Pearson ain't had nothing to do with this. He's an innocent man sitting in jail right now, is what you're telling me.
Yeah.
Pearson was freed in August 2025, 2.5 years after that Victor Weldon confession. A confession Pearson's innocence attorney says the AG could have uncovered during Pearson's first appeal. So you think the Attorney General of the state of South Carolina could have caught this a decade ago?
I think so, yes. The red flags were there.
Mr. Wilson, there was in the next county over 2 months ago, there was a man who was wrongfully convicted and freed from prison. Every step of his appellate, every step, all of his appeals, even up to the Supreme Court, you and your office fought against this man's innocence. Why is that? And that's the case of Michael Pearson.
So, Jody, the way you ask the question, you ask it laced with assertions and innuendo and accusations, and that's not the way a reporter should ask a question. But what I want to answer let me answer your question. I have 90 lawyers working in my office. I have between 340 and 350 employees. We manage 8,000 cases over a 15-year period. I cannot speak to the facts of every specific case. So if you want to know about a specific case, then we can put the lawyers who are handling the case there. What I can tell you is, by law, our office is required to defend the state under post-conviction relief as well as appellate law. So somebody has to defend the state's prosecution. I cannot speak to the facts of this assertion that you baked into your question.
But the evidence does not support the AG's ignorance. Alan Wilson's office knew of Pearson's innocence claim in 2024, 14 months before he was freed from prison. Remember Victor Weldon?
So was Pearson there?
No.
He confessed to the solicitor's office in March 2023.
Have a seat right there, Mike.
In July 2023, the solicitor's investigator called Michael Pearson in from prison and told him about Weldon's confession.
The man telling you the truth. I ain't had nothing to do with it. I done did 15 years of my life.
In June 2024, a year after that confession, Michael Pearson filed this post-conviction relief application with the Attorney General's office. He told the AG he was imprisoned unlawfully because of newly discovered evidence, that evidence being the Victor Weldon confession. Clarendon County's clerk sent the PCR application to the AG on June 8, 2024. The clerk's office shows 14 months passed, and the AG's office did not file a single document to get Pearson's PCR case in front of a judge for an evidentiary hearing. That happened only after North Carolina Center on Actual Innocence attorneys Chris Muma and James Babb took Pearson's case over.
What kind of statement does that make that the Attorney General's office is so committed to upholding this conviction that they're going to throw law enforcement under the bus? It's interesting how there's this back and forth, the solicitor saying, you fix it, to the AG's office saying, no, you fix it. You're the one that got the evidence. In the meantime, Michael Pearson's still sitting in prison. Where is the person who says, we got to fix this? We got to fix it now.
Muma says Wilson and his office had an ethical duty to act immediately, not 14 months later. Muma points to South Carolina Court Rule 3.8 G and H, requiring a prosecutor to make reasonable efforts to promptly disclose credible material evidence that a convicted man did not commit a crime, and when a prosecutor knows of clear and convincing evidence of a person's innocence, the prosecutor shall make reasonable efforts to seek to remedy the conviction. In a July 2025 letter to the AG, Solicitor Chip Finney claimed his office spent months trying to investigate Mr. Pearson's involvement in the Slick Gibbons ambush. Finney denied he did anything in the past 2.5 years to delay or impede correcting Pearson's conviction, and his office always followed the facts and acted upon them as the law requires. And through it all, Michael Pearson continued sitting in prison. Even if the conviction is later found out it was wrongful and improper?
Well, again, I can't speak to the specifics of the case, only to say that there's thousands and thousands and thousands of cases, but I don't know the facts of every single case. So there have been times that we have defended cases all the way through the appellate process, and because a case gets turned over, doesn't necessarily mean the person was innocent. It just means that there was some flaw in the legal system.
But the AG had plenty of time to educate himself about the Michael Pearson case before we tracked him down here. Not only was news of Pearson's vacated conviction plastered on nearly every news outlet across the Carolinas, Wilson's own office filed motions in Pearson's case with the state Supreme Court just 2 months ago. Wilson's name, along with his top officials, is on the bottom of the filing. The AG also had the benefit of my email 3 weeks earlier, asking him and his press secretary, Robert Kittle, to schedule an interview. I told them exactly what we wanted to talk about: the state versus Michael Wilson Pearson and state versus Oscar Fortune. I even included more detail. Our investigation concerns appeals and PCR applications where the AG's office under Alan Wilson successfully fought to uphold the convictions against these two defendants. Convictions that were later vacated over prosecutorial misconduct in the Fortune case and a wrongful conviction in the Pearson case. A week later, Kittle refused our interview request. The Attorney General will not be doing any interviews with you after your unprofessional behavior the last time he talked to you. He showed up at your station to do an interview with another reporter, and you could have asked for 5 or 10 minutes to talk to him while he was there. But instead, you waited for him outside in the parking lot just so you could run up to him with a camera to make it look like you were chasing him down for dramatic effect. One thing's true. We did conduct that interview the AG didn't want to schedule right in our parking lot in June. Hey, Mr. Wilson, how are you? This happened a month after we filed a formal request asking Wilson to schedule time with us. We wanted him to explain to the public why his office dismissed every charge filed in 2 of our investigations out of Marlborough County. final disrespects, and lost trust.
Oh, me and Tammy got 4 packs of cigarettes out there, so we figured he didn't need them no more.
In final disrespects, a dead man's family accused the then deputy probate judge and her friends of stealing from a dead man and his dementia-ridden wife within hours of his death. 2 years after our investigation aired, the state charged Deputy Probate Judge Tammy Bullock and Charlotte Green with grand larceny. Bullock also faced a weapons charge from a separate case. That weapons indictment was hand-signed by Attorney General Alan Wilson. Wilson's office eventually dropped every charge in the theft case, including Bullock's weapons charge. Those records were later removed from the Marlboro County Courthouse and destroyed.
Get up, get in the cell, Darrell. To get in there, pump two, pump two, pump two, pump two, pump two.
In our lost trust investigation, we uncovered this video recording from May 2020. It showed former Sheriff Charles Lemon ordering former Deputy Andrew Cook to shock an inmate multiple times with a taser inside the county jail. The video led to the state attorney general indictments of Lemon and Cook, each on a felony assault charge and misconduct in office. The governor suspended Lemon from office. Years later, the feds filed a civil rights charge against Lemon and Cook, and Wilson's office dropped the state-level assault and misconduct in office charges. Wilson's office refused an interview to explain why the AG abandoned the state prosecutions.
Mr. Cook, can we talk to you before you head out?
No, thank you. I'm fine. Thank you, though.
Deputy Cook later pleaded guilty to his civil rights charge.
I just heard not guilty.
And Lemon was acquitted during his federal trial in August 2024. Wilson's refusal to talk about his handling of these cases is the real reason why we were forced into this unscheduled interview in June.
I can't talk specifically to the facts of those cases because I'm not familiar with them, but everything our office told you that we legally can tell you, we have told you legally. I hope you have a good day.
Why can't you tell the people of South Carolina why you chose to do this?
Jody, as again, we gave you an answer. The answer was there's things we can legally say, things we can't legally say. I'm not privy to the specific facts of that case.
Well, how about this? The victims in the Hollis Slade case say that you...
And now let's go back to Coward and our questions about Michael Pearson's appeals. We're airing this exchange unedited.
But at the end of the day, you're asserting that I would be against someone going after someone wrongfully to prosecute them when I knew them to be innocent. That's what you're asserting in your question.
Well, the question is about during the appellate process, does your office have any responsibility to investigate the claims made against the state?
We can't go outside the record, Jody, by law. We only the record in the circuit court.
So you don't have any responsibility to investigate, but you do just solely uphold the conviction.
I think I've answered your question. On appeal, we have the record that was created in the circuit court. That is the record that we have. Now, as to the specifics of this case, I can't speak to it because I wasn't the attorney of record on this case. There are thousands of, you can fuss at me all you want, you can disagree with the decisions of the office. There are thousands and thousands of cases that our office does all year long.
But I emailed you all about this weeks ago.
Well, Jody.
And you wouldn't schedule an interview, so we had to come down here.
Jody.
I'm what?
You're rude.
Okay.
All right.
And the interview ended.
Yes, ma'am.
Wilson's driver asked the 3 officers, 2 were local police chiefs, to keep us away from the AG. Before Wilson arrived, those officers were welcoming to us and praised our investigative work. At the end, they tried to block me from asking Wilson anything else.
You just answer my emails.
He can.
Okay, as long as you don't get close to
you're fine. He's not going to hurt me.
Why don't you just answer the emails, man? Let's do this the right way.
Wilson got into his Tahoe and left town. But let's back up. Wilson said something that caught my attention right before his driver, who he called Addison, tried to shout us down.
We can't go outside the record, Jody, by law. We only the record in the circuit court.
The record. That reminded me of another appellate case we investigated, the state versus Oscar Fortune.
Do you remember the day that you were sitting in prison and you found, wait a minute, here is this moment in this trial. Here is the error my prosecutor made.
I remember it, but I also remember the Attorney General saying, you can't raise that issue. That's not a PCR issue. That's a direct appeal issue. You were supposed to do that on your direct appeal. I'm telling them, no, that's a constitutional violation. So now here it is, you got me uneducated in prison convicted of murder, telling them, educated, working for the Attorney General, that you're wrong. You have people who have raised these issues in the past, and you told them the same thing, and they believed it. But now I know what the Constitution is. Now I know what a constitutional violation is. So you can't tell me I'm wrong.
Turns out you were right.
100% right. So says the Supreme Court of South Carolina.
Fortune was convicted of murder in Chesterfield County in 2006. He spent 13 years in a state prison, fighting Attorney General Alan Wilson's office for a new trial. The AG's office fought Fortune to uphold his conviction and his 37-year sentence. Although right there in the record was something the state Supreme Court called absolutely inexcusable prosecutorial misconduct, something the court found Wilson's office tried to justify in the AG's fight to keep Oscar Fortune imprisoned. Objection continues after this. Oscar Fortune crawled out of bed and rolled into the Huddle House parking lot in Sherrall to meet his cousin.
She told me she had been in an incident at the Green Villa in which Anthony Shields hit her in the face with a bottle. So I asked her where she was at. She told me the Huddle House.
The plan was to meet here, then go to the Sherrall Police Department to get a warrant on Anthony Shields.
What was your mindset when you left to go to that Huddle House?
Just to assist her. She said she wanted to go to the police department, so she didn't feel comfortable going there alone, and she wanted me to assist her. Being the big brother, if you want to say, she's my family. I love her. You know, I'm going to assist her.
When you got to the Huddle House, so something changed.
A lot changed. There are 80 to 100 people that I don't know because I'm not from Sherrall. I'm actually from Bennettsville. That changes within itself.
Minutes later, Shields pulled up. Fortune's cousin walked over to Shields' car window, and the two started arguing.
I'm not going to sit here and say that I wasn't expecting to fight him because I'm from the South. And the way we, grow up, if a man put his hand on your sister, then you and that man have to, see each other. So that's what I was planning to do. We were going to discuss what happened and go from there.
Fortune says he got a .38 from the console, slipped it into his pocket, and walked over to Shields' car.
When I get to the car, I asked him, what's up with, hitting Sante in the face with a bottle? And he looked at me. We don't know each other. I've never seen him a day in my life. He looked at me, and then he fired a weapon. The next thing I know, I see a flash and hear a bang.
You didn't see him pull the gun up?
No, he had to already have that gun in his hand. When he fired the gun, it caught me off guard. And I remember I closed my eyes for a quick second, and when I opened my eyes and looked, Sante was on the ground. I fired back up on him because I felt like he had just shot Sante, and I know I have a right to protect myself as well as protect her. So I fired back. I chose to defend myself.
Investigators found 5 rounds in Shields' body. He died in the parking lot. The nearest sheriff's deputy was on the farthest end of the county. It took him 30 minutes to get there to secure the crime scene. While Shields lay dead on the ground, someone grabbed his pistol from the inside of his car and took off with it. When investigators got to the scene, they didn't know Shields had a gun and only found evidence of one gun fired, and the man who fired it was long gone.
Were you running because you felt you'd done something wrong?
No, not at all. I was running, and now I'm gonna stop. I wasn't running. I left because I wanted to get out of that situation. And I left because I needed to gather my thoughts and digest what just happened. It's not like this is an everyday event.
The next morning, Fortune surrendered and handed over his .38 with the shell casing still inside the chamber to the Sherrall Police Department.
Damian Antoine Shields.
A department where Anthony Shields' brother worked as a police officer. Shields is now an investigator with the Chesterfield County Sheriff's Office. Fortune says he explained his self-defense story, but says with Anthony Shields' gun missing from the scene, no one believed him that Shields even had a gun on him.
And I'm 32 years old at the time, not familiar with the justice system, not familiar with, the police or anything like that. So after I told them what happened, they still charged me with murder and took me to jail.
Days later, investigators found the gun and the man who took it. But that man who took a critical piece of evidence from the crime scene was never charged.
This is the only incident that I've ever had that I've ever been in. 4 years and some months, I'm out on bond. And then March of 2006, I go to trial.
The state spent a week working to convince a jury that Oscar Fortune, with malice and aforethought, murdered Anthony Shields. Fortune took the stand and admitted he shot Shields, but that he did so in self-defense. In closing arguments, Assistant Solicitor J.R. Joyner told the jury, "My job is to show the truth. Their job is to shroud the truth. Their job is to confuse jurors. Their job is to do whatever they have to, without regard for the truth, to get a not guilty verdict. And that whatever a prosecutor believes about a defendant's guilt mattered the most. If I know the person has done something that I think the facts show they're guilty of, then I cannot dismiss it. I have to go forward with it." Those comments would later come back to haunt both J.R. Joyner and the state of South Carolina.
If I had to liken it to anything, it's almost like a unarmed gladiator walking into the Coliseum. You know it's over. You know you're not walking out of there.
Fortune was right. The jury convicted the 37-year-old of murder, and Judge John Milling sentenced him to 37 years in prison. Over the next 15 years, Oscar Fortune hit the law books and filed appeals with the state appeals court. The Attorney General's office fought to defend the conviction, and the appeals court denied Fortune's appeal.
What's his probation status?
Fortune then filed his post-conviction relief application before Judge Paul Birch. He claimed he didn't get a fair trial for 2 reasons. One, Solicitor J.R. Joyner committed prosecutorial misconduct in its closing argument to the jury, and that Fortune's own defense attorney failed him at trial.
He said it never crossed his mind to bring up an allegation of prosecutorial misconduct on J.R. Joyner. He's a good guy.
Do good guys not make mistakes?
You want the politically correct answer or you want the answer?
Oscar, I want the truth.
He's saying, I'm not going to make an allegation against this lawyer for you. You've been convicted. You've been sentenced. I was your lawyer. That's over with. I'm not going to put dirt on his name.
Despite Fortune's evidence, Birch denied his PCR application, finding although Joyner's comments to the jury were improper, it did not hurt Fortune's right to a fair trial.
So now you have a judge saying, I'm wrong. That will probably be enough for a man to just give up. I know that this is a violation because I've seen cases overturned for less than what this guy did, J.R. Joyner.
Eventually somebody heard you.
Right, the Supreme Court.
He had one last chance for a new trial. Fortune was 12 years into his prison sentence and continued fighting for that new trial. In January 2018, he filed a petition with the state Supreme Court, asking the court to give him one last chance to undo the appeals court and Judge Birch's denial of his appeals. There again, despite the evidence in the record, the Attorney General's office fought Oscar Fortune to uphold his conviction. 2 more years would pass. Oscar Fortune was in the prison law library when a prison staffer called him into her office.
She asked, could I see you for a minute? So I go to her office, she closes the door, and she pulls up my case. And there it was, reversed and remanded for a new trial.
The Supreme Court's ruling was unanimous and offered a rebuke of not only the Attorney General's office, but of J.R. Joyner, trial judge John Milling, and PCR judge Paul Birch. The PCR court found the remarks were improper. We find they were absolutely inexcusable, Justice John Few wrote about Birch's ruling. The court has condemned this type of misconduct, and trial judge John Milling's curative instruction actually exacerbated the assistant solicitor's misconduct. The assistant solicitor's improper statements to the jury during closing argument infected Fortune's trial with such a high degree of unfairness as to make his conviction a denial of due process. We reverse the order of the PCR court denying Fortune relief and remand to the Court of General Sessions for a new trial. The Supreme Court also found no overwhelming evidence that Fortune murdered Anthony Shields, and the state pointed to no element that Fortune was not acting in self-defense. Somehow, everyone at every step of the way missed all of this, but Fortune says he doesn't resent the man who prosecuted him.
Do you blame J.R. Joyner for your trip to the penitentiary?
I think J.R. Joyner was just one ingredient in a perfect storm. I'm gonna thank J.R. Joyner for the mistake he made, because that mistake got me out of prison.
Although he was a free man, Oscar Fortune's troubles were far from over.
And Oscar Fortune keeps fighting. That was it for Anthony Shields. And it did not have to be that way.
In October 2022, the state gave Oscar Fortune that new trial he fought 16 years for. New prosecutors tried once again to convict him of murder.
There were so many other ways to address any problem. Go to the police. Walk away.
Prosecutors again told the jury what Oscar Fortune did wasn't in self-defense or anything less than murder.
So I'd ask you, when you look at all this evidence, that you come back and find Oscar Fortune guilty of murder.
After a week-long trial, the Chesterfield County jury started deliberating Oscar Fortune's fate. But just like in his 2006 trial, he couldn't get a fair trial. Less than 2 hours in.
And we have people on our jury who have considered the defendant guilty since Monday. Is this a legal issue? The juror that wrote this, and I asked him, was there a juror or jurors who did not presume the defendant to be innocent? And his words were, and correct me if I'm wrong, he said that from his own mouth, that I knew he was innocent or guilty since Monday. And that really ticks me off.
The judge declared a mistrial. That meant Oscar Fortune and the Shields family would have to do this all over again. But Fortune and the prosecutor saved everyone the trouble.
All rise.
Prosecutor John Jeppertinger was ready to deal and offered Fortune a plea deal.
Your Honor, he's pleading to the lesser offense of voluntary manslaughter, which is both a violent and most serious offense. There's a negotiated sentence, Your Honor, of 30 years, suspended to 5,456 days. He's already done the 5,456 days, Judge, and thereafter be placed on probation for 5 years.
Fortune entered an Alford plea where he maintains his innocence.
It's been your decision to plead guilty?
Yes, Your Honor.
But acknowledges the state could have enough to convict him if the state continues putting him on trial. In 2 separate trials and fights with the Attorney General's office all along the way, Oscar Fortune beat the state's murder charge. On November 17, 2022, Oscar James Fortune walked out of court a free man. His probation ends in 2027.
I will tell Robert to answer your emails.
No, I mean to schedule an interview with me.
Well, I'm not the attorney of record.
Yeah, but you're the AG. What does the AG think about Oscar Fortune's trial? Well, we don't know. He wouldn't talk to us about it.
I'm not running from you. I got to go somewhere else, but I'm happy to answer your emails.
Okay. Thank you for watching Objection, a Queen City News investigation.